Looking for a great grinder package? Our friends at Ameribraid have you covered. Be sure and log into ameribraid.com and purchase your grinder machine through April 30th, 2023 and get $100 off your purchase. Just type in special code Templars100 at checkout. You can also find a link at knivestemplars.com. That's a deal to get you grinding from Ameribraid and for listening to the Knives Templars.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
Get ready, y'all. We about to Bobby Boucher you. Bam!
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast, featuring Odisir Special Sauce Pinto.
I was a mean kid.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Don the Train Watson.
I can pay off all my credit cards and beef jerky credit line at Bucket.
Joey the Riot Terrio.
Cochon de lait will make you smack your lips and anyone getting too close to your plate.
Mark Vasallo.
You drinking my soupy?
And Chip Shegman Carlisle. And now broadcasting alive, it's the Knives Templars. Coming to you live from Porkhouse Studios located in Hartselle, Alabama and other U.S. locations. This is the Knives Templars podcast. We are the coolest knife-making podcast on the planet, and we are downloaded around this big blue marble in over 24 countries. We are on air, on demand, and heard worldwide in all of your favorite apps and at knivestemplars.com. Season 3, Episode 25 of the Knives Templars podcast. I am your host, Chip Carlisle, and I'm joined by Joey Terrio, Don Watson, Luke Berry, Eric Rivers, and did I miss anybody? I did, because Mark Vasillo is doing Mardi Gras cleanup tonight down in South Alabama, and Odisir, he's going on a pinto sauce run. That's the last we heard. Last minute, I'm out of pinto sauce. I got to go. So those two guys are stepping away tonight, but we've got somebody really good filling in for them, and I will announce that quickly because it's such a cool guest. Again, we're getting better and better, and not that any best is any better than the other. It's just, man, we're getting some players, and I do enjoy that. Hey, what are we drinking tonight, guys? Luke.
I have a little Bombay Sapphire and Tonic. A little gin and tonic action tonight.
So you're going to the hard liquor.
Mix it up every once in a while. I can't do the same thing every night.
Understand being unemployed, but now it's not the time to go to hard liquor.
No, well, it's Friday night, you know.
Well, Luke, we are
loosen up a little bit.
Talking to you pre-show. You've let us know that you're going to have to maybe step back a little bit from the podcast, but you are always a Knives Templar, and whenever you're available to be here on a recording, we definitely want you here. So don't forget that, but tell the folks a little bit about what you're going to be doing.
I'm going to be working for a audiovisual company. It's a really small company, but I will be working on a contract that is replacing all of the projectors in the Gwinnett County School System's schools. Starting off with elementary, going to middle school, then high school. I'll be doing all the rewiring, the mounting of the projectors, the smart boards, etc.
Well, is there any correlation to the fact that they no longer are paying your salary, that Pop's Knife Supply just bought a new building over in Gainesville and setting up a whole new building?
That's been something they've been working on now for, probably 3 or 4 months. They've been in the works of this contract for that new building, and it just so happened that my last day, the following day was the day they closed on the new building. So it kind of gives me a time scale as to whenever I left, whenever they started growing. So
you don't have to help. You don't have to help move anything over.
I don't, but I still offered my help. So if they need me for anything, they still have me.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, it's a family business, and you're still part of the family. So you have that new building. It looks like they're going to have the opportunity to have some hammer-ins and just all kinds of stuff. They're a large area to do work, a large showroom or customer floor, and so on. So it looks really good. But getting back to you, which is the important part of this, I'm sure you'll still be going over there making knives and some more mentoring as you also work with Mr. Love as well over your
Yeah.
partnership.
So as of right now, the way it's looking is I am going to operate the showroom floor on Saturdays. As of right now, the business is only open Monday through Friday.
Mhm.
But where the new establishment is a very busy highway, so they're expecting more foot traffic. So they're going
Yeah.
to be open on Saturdays as well now,
So you will be doing
and
some work there.
a little bit. I'm never going
Yeah.
to fully cut off from those guys because I really like what they're doing there as to compared to like the other knife supply businesses. I really like their business model, and
Well,
just to be a part of it's still something I want to do.
well, well, where else can you get a set of handle scales at 3 o'clock in the morning? Dad, we got to run over there. I'm working on this, right?
Yeah, well, there's probably someone in the knife shop right now. They're always
Yeah.
over there.
Well, let me ask you this: as far as you're still in college, so you've taken a semester off, and you've got dozen or so hours left to finish up. So you're really just, as a young man, taking off on that next part of your life, right?
I am, yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's my
The
intention.
good thing is you got great roots, and you can always, as all these old guys on here, and not so old guys, all know that you can always rely on the roots that ground us back to who we are. So we expect you to check in, call in, be part of the show. Um, no, no, no. What's the dog's name? What's the dog's name?
The one you heard was Ozzy. She
Ozzy.
is Ozzy, correct. I named her after Ozzy Albies on the
Yeah,
Braves.
yeah.
I'm assuming that there's a squirrel in the backyard, so
Very
she
good.
just goes crazy.
Very good. Very good. Well, Luke, glad you're on tonight. And if this is your last show, we'll see you on some future shows as a guest.
Oh,
We'll
I'm never going anywhere. I'll be around,
will you be at Blade Show?
of course.
There we go. There we go. Eric Rivers, you going to be at Blade Show in Atlanta this year?
Yeah, I'll be at all the Blade shows this year, all three of them.
Well, good. I've been meaning to get with you. I'm probably going to have plenty of Hampton points. So before you schedule your room, let me know, and I may be able to save you some bucks and
Oh, nice.
sleep with you in the same hotel.
Well, we can cuddle. We can
No, no,
cuddle.
no. I didn't say that. I said sleep with you in the same hotel. So
Uh huh.
before, but what have you been up to, brother? I know you've had some changes in your family here recently, and you've had to step away a little bit on your Tuesday video and some things going on. But what's going on with Eric Rivers last few weeks?
Yeah, had to step away from a lot of things and focus on family. Whenever it's one thing whenever you have someone pass away in your family that is up in their years and things like that, and you know, at some point, you kind of understand that that's a possibility of happening. And this particular one was probably the most shocking thing to happen. So it kind of rocked our family, and I didn't want to. I already still have to work, and whenever you work 50
Yeah.
hours a week and then try and put another 35 hours a week in the shop making videos, it
Mhm.
something has to give, and that's what I had to relax on. But I still did a few things in the shop. Nothing that people wanted to see video wise because I was working on some car stuff and things like that. And anytime I release video content on car stuff, people just kind of completely forget that I have a channel. That those videos might get like 200 views.
Yeah.
So I never really filmed those things. Uh,
Well, if you would just take the Porsche and maybe make some knives out of leaf springs in the drive shaft and all that, I'm sure you could get those up as far as a car slash knife build.
So people like the videos that I do with the Porsche, but I wasn't working on that. I bought a car to be able to drive during the winter here because our winter with January, February, and March is just ice. So I got a little four-wheel drive Audi Quattro, like a 2008, and went ahead and you know started tinkering with it and did a bunch of stuff to it, and I didn't feel like filming it because none of it would have been in any type of order. So,
Mhm.
but if I would have done stuff to the Porsche, people would have loved that. But that's not what I'm working on. That car is put up for the winter. I don't
Gotcha.
drive it for like for like 4 months and out of the year. But I have been working on a few things in the background. I've got the knife that, of course, y'all saw that I released this last Tuesday, um, and then I'll have that finished up this weekend, which is a frame handled Bowie. And I wanted to make one of those for a while, and I figured this is the perfect time to start one off with the beginning of the year. And I'm also starting the chopper challenge for the YouTube Knife Makers Challenge.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a really, really crazy kind of, well, if you listen to this, you're gonna get a sneak peek on it. Uh, so I'm gonna be making this crazy kukri with a lot of faceted bevels and stuff like that that'll work like a hatchet. And in the video, I'm going to cut it's not going to be a huge tree, but it'll probably be about a 8-inch diameter tree. I'm going to cut it down and strip it down into all of its parts with just the knife.
That's gonna be
Yeah,
Okay.
but I
fun.
tell you what, have you thought about getting in touch with Jason Fry? Because he's got a piece of wood that I think that they used to take JFK, Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you better believe he
Yeah.
does.
Hey, breaking news, our chief meteorologist from the Knives Templars had a question for you.
Oh yeah. So, how's the weather over there in Wichita Falls?
Well, Joey.
well, the weather here has been pretty crappy, but compared to other places in this country that are like -40 right now, I guess it's not that bad. But when it comes to Texas, if if winter happens here, it is crazy. I mean, you could have a hurricane hit Texas, and Texans are like, yeah, it's whatever. It's just a damn hurricane. You could have a tornado hit Texas, and people are like, let's go film it. As a matter of fact, we're going to try and drive into it and see how that goes. A flood could happen here, and people are like, we're just going to get our boats and go fishing everywhere. If an earthquake happens here, people are just like, yeah, that's a Tuesday. If it freezes, if it's going to get below 30 degrees, people are like, I guess we shut the schools down and everyone goes home. There's no businesses.
Yeah.
I mean,
It sounds
it's
like Georgia.
hilarious. Yeah.
That Yeah, that's what I remember about living out in Dallas. It was so funny that there was a chance of flurries and they shut schools down. This is back in the 80s. And even
Yeah.
from North Carolina, I thought that was funny where we went home early. In Michigan, they didn't close anything anytime. But I've learned since meeting and getting to know you over the last year or so is that Texas has two seasons, hot or cold.
Yep.
Yep. There's no buffer. It is 110 degrees outside or it's 20. It goes summer, winter, summer, and sometimes it goes within the month. It goes summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter, and it's like, in the next couple of days, it's supposed to be almost 80 degrees here.
Yeah.
It was like 9 degrees 3 days ago.
Yeah,
Well, how'd that
Louisiana's a lot like that.
how'd
I
that
hear
little
Don
shop
laughing.
how'd that
He's
little
like,
shop
yeah.
buddy heater how'd that shop buddy heater work for you in the shop? That was
So
not too good.
So it was part of that was for the video,
Yeah.
but it was like a symbolic thing that me getting back to work type deal. And so for me, those little heaters do really well.
If you're sitting on
But
them.
but that was more. I had the heater right next to the anvil, uh, and I turned the heater on right next to the anvil, and it was on the anvil for about an hour and a half to heat the
Oh,
actual
okay.
body of the anvil up.
Does that have
Um,
anything to do like getting your quenching oil and your anvil up to temperature?
yeah, because your anvil's a big heat sink,
Yeah.
and it will suck the heat. If your anvil's like 10 degrees, it'll suck all the heat out of your steel. So your first uh, I would say 4 or 5 times at the anvil, your
Hmm.
steel's getting cold super fast, and you're only able to hammer for so long. And if I'm using 80 CRV2 or 5160, that stuff's a beast to hammer. And especially if you're using like 1/4 inch steel like I use or 3/8,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna call you this morning, and then I chose not to. I was gonna
For
call
what?
you and say, Eric, can I use that Brute de Forge um, moniker with the stuff I'm doing? And when I
Mhm.
looked it up, it was like, oh, that's a term.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's a term that a lot of people use for, leaving the hammer texture or the forging texture on their blades. And I personally, depending on what type of knife I'm making or how rustic I want it to look, I'll leave that on there. It's a personal preference for me. You know what my knives look like. People can tell, if it's one of my knives from a mile away. At least I hope they can. And there's specific times when I like that brute to forge finish. Some
Right.
people might think that it's because I'm doing uh, I have it in the plan or something like that. But typically, when I'm doing a brute to forge, it's because, like on the buoy that I just did, I knew where I wanted to bring my bevels up to, and I wanted my flats to have a little design to them
Hmm.
because I wasn't gonna do a full flat grind, and I wanted the area where your false edge, your clip point, and your bevels meet. I wanted that brute to forge to come down to a point down into that little area and just add a little extra, flair to it. And I'm happy with how that turned out.
Yeah,
Very
I'm
nice.
gonna be hammering out another one tomorrow based on how impressed I've been seeing what you're doing and want to grow in that area. But I was excited because I learned how to say Brute de Forge in Russian, and I
Yeah.
learned how to say it in Norwegian. I sent it to you guys, and nobody responded. In so many areas, I've lost my funny bone this week, where you guys just ignored when I
Well,
thought I was being hilarious. But
how do you say it?
I can't pronounce it, but I know how to write it. You just use Google Translate, and she says it, and then 12 hours ago, and I forgot to say it now.
That's awesome.
I can say it with a Russian accent. I will break you.
I
I
will
will
tell you
break
this
you.
though. That little drop point that you made and that you forged out and everything, I really like
Really
that
good. Real
profile.
good.
Like,
Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah, it just
Yeah,
kind of came out that way.
turned
I
out
kept
well.
hammering. I mean, I had a drawing on my. I took a soap stone and drew it on my anvil and got as
mhm.
close as I could. And I probably had to grind away a little more than I thought that I wanted to at the beginning. But I was like, I'm so happy the way it's turned out. I don't want to beat it on it anymore. I'm just going to grind some away, and eventually I'll work up to trying to form a whole knife.
So
But go ahead.
have you watched any of Neil Kamamura's videos or anything like that?
I
I
have
have.
not. I have not, and I
Yep.
probably ought to.
Yep.
So the way that his thought process is forge, he forges hundreds of knives all the time, constantly doing it. That's what he does. But even he'll tell you, uh it's like you're doing that part to be able to skip other steps, but you don't go to an unnecessary point with the forging. You forge to be able to do it and have fun with it. But once you get to a certain point, don't be afraid to hit it with your 2x72 for another hour or something like that. Like you're allowed to grind as much away as you want. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, all I was going to say, I think it is okay when you do whatever it takes to make a knife, either based on your skill or based on what you're doing, because if it helps you to grow and make a successful knife, you're going to grow from there. And I think every little hammer you do more than you did last time just adds to your skill. I think I told you
Yep.
guys when I used to work in the Forest Service, and somebody would be stuck out in the forest, and we would have to go help them in. We would help them get back in because they were lost or dehydrated or whatever. They were always so deflated that they didn't do as well as they could. They wanted to walk 4 miles and they walked 3 miles and got lost. And my word to them was always, "Well, look how far you got. You did great, and let's come out here and do it again." So, Joey,
I just wanted to mention, Chip, if you want to learn how to move steel under the hammer,
yeah,
uh, practice doing those little leaves. Alex Steele has a good video on that.
right,
Make a yeah, that's kind of where I started. doing that and doing these bottle openers.
Yeah.
It kind of teaches you where to hit the steel, how to move it, what's going to happen when you upset it here,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
over
That's great
oh
advice.
yeah, over time you eventually get better. You start understanding the forging technique and what do you need to do to make this material to do what you want it to do. So
That's
just a
excellent. That's excellent advice. And I will tell you, like I was saying, is every time you do it, you do a little bit more, take another step, go
yep.
out. Like I was saying, take another trip in the forest, take another trip with the steel, and you just continue to get better. I mean, your leather growth, the way you grew, and even notice here's the way he's grown in his leather
Hmm.
work is just one new project, one more hiking trip, so to speak, as I draw the correlation between the two. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But this isn't about me so much. It's just that again, great inspiration, Eric and Joey. It's good to see you. You know, I last time you had just a white background. Now I can see you've got furniture and doors in the house, so
Yeah,
you're
so
getting better.
yeah, I'm starting to get stuff moved and changed around. Actually, I was facing this wall, and obviously the walls are white in here, but in the light, this light kind of shines against that wall. I guess that's why the lighting's so good right here. But
Yeah,
I finally got the desk set up, so that's where my PC is tonight, sitting
well,
on the
good.
desk. Yeah,
You know what you said? Go out and hammer some leaves. But I thought you were gonna say just go up to Josh Howard's house and start beating it out on that super hammer he's got and the little hammer and the super.
dude. Man, did you actually go to his Instagram and see some of the billets that he had
I,
put
80
I
together
pound
that he was
billets.
forging?
I have, and I will tell you, he's invited me to come up there and see. I joined last week. I joined the Alabama Forge Council and the chapter he belongs to, and really a wonderful group. There was probably 30, 40 people there. Wonderful, wonderful group. Great equipment. I think I sent you guys some pictures. But how's things going? You're not in Church Point anymore, but I was going to say, how's things in Church Point? How's things down in South Louisiana?
Good, good. The weather kind of like Eric. It's not as extreme as Eric, but it gets cold and it's hot and it's cold. But everything's doing pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I like the beard. You know, I'm not wearing a beard these days, and you're growing out there. You just
Yeah,
need a Colonel Sanders suit and bow tie, and I tell you what, you could be selling some chicken, brother. You got it going on.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And kudos on the leather work. Josh Howard said this week he needed to step up his game when he saw some of that leather you've been doing. Those flowers and those I don't know those tooling patterns you're doing,
Yeah,
dude. You're blowing my mind.
yeah. Well, I'm trying. My mentor, I've been spending a lot of time with him, and so I'm learning new techniques, and so it's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Actually, see a pattern come to life that actually looks decent. You know.
Oh, it looks beautiful. Hey, are you coming to Blade Show this year?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna try to this year to
So
Atlanta. Yeah.
So
So
excellent. Well, you and Eric and I can all get a room together.
yeah.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Yep, 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 yep.
I'll get the two king beds. Y'all can sleep together. We'll get a cot.
So I have a
Yeah.
question about Blade Show regarding the group. Are we getting a table?
We were just going to use your table, Luke. We were going to come
Well,
over to
I don't
Pops.
have one anymore,
We were
man.
going to come over to Pops and clear off a counter and
Yeah.
just sit there.
Oh
We'll,
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
we'll
Andy will
yeah.
love that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he would.
we've got a little bit of coordinating to do, and I know they've got some tables left open, so we're going to talk about it. And we'll let you know for sure, for sure.
I was considering getting one for my personal brand and sharing it with Adam. But I think it'd be pretty interesting to have like a little meet and greet station for people at Blade Show wanting to come meet us.
Yeah.
You think a lot of us, don't you?
Yeah.
I bet our special guest tonight, Mr. Kyle Daly, comes running up and wants an autograph.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle, you there?
I'd love to meet you guys all in person.
Well, welcome to the show, Kyle. We're going to bring you. We're on the show now, but we'll hit you with the Maker's Mark later. But there's your secret guest. That was the secret word we brought out, Kyle Daly, and seems like you've been a Blade Show attendee for quite some time, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had a table there the last 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, you'll have one this year.
Yep, we'll be at table 3 double B.
All right, guys. So there you go. When we get run off of somebody else's table, when we just go in and camp in on it and start throwing out our knives, we
I'm
know
taking
that
notes.
we can go to Kyle's table and we'll go there until he calls security. So
That's right.
bring your table aprons so we can get them out there real quick. So
Yeah.
welcome to the show, Kyle. Well,
Welcome, buddy.
did you see the Chinese weather balloon flying over your house today?
I heard about it. I didn't see it though. I was inside working on getting some knives glued up, so
Gotcha.
got a handful of blades in progress.
Can't believe we're talking to Knife Perspectives Kyle Daly. Man, how
That's right.
exciting is
That's
that?
right.
No, right?
Woo!
Mm,
I remember the old days when I used to listen to you and say, man, I wish I could chat with him. This is exciting. Don, what have you been up to?
Oh man, just making knives, doing some cleanup. We had that big show this weekend, and just trying to get everything back in order. That's about it.
How'd the show go for you?
I'll tell you what, I had a great time. It was long, but man, I met a lot of good people. Promoted the podcast. I met some really good knife makers. And really super. I'll tell you, the knife making community is very friendly. And it's
I
good
saw
to
you
see
hugging
that.
on one of our past guests.
Yeah, our past guest, he's a nice temper. He got first in show.
Next time you need to submit some of your knives.
Well, if you ever see Jerry's knives, you'll know why I didn't.
And Jerry McGilton, I believe is how you
Jeremy,
pronounce it.
yeah, JMO
Yeah,
knives. Yep,
yeah,
he did a good
and
job.
he's got a new little grandbaby out there. I'm sure you have any pictures to show you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
man.
he's a proud
Yeah,
grandpa.
he
But
is.
he makes gorgeous knives. You got to see them in person. Do they live up to the photos?
Yeah, it's different when you see a photo versus putting it in your hands and holding it.
Yeah,
There's a big difference in that. And but he does a great job, really good
man,
job.
that's exciting. I'm not even going to ask you about the weather because I don't care because the rest of us are hating it.
58
And
degrees, baby. 58.
58 be nice here. That's that's shop temperature for me.
That's right.
Here we've been getting rain out the yin yang. Everything is flooded in Alabama. In the spring, it floods, and then come August, we're begging for a drop of rain. And so as we talked about a little earlier, I made that knife last weekend. This weekend, I had a lot of work to do in the day job, so I was tired at night. But tomorrow, I've got to paint a bathroom ceiling, and then I'm running back out and turning on my forge, and we'll get started on my next knife. I'm going to make a petty knife for the Shegman Kniver Petty Challenge, and we will be doing that.
Oh,
I think I'm going to win that challenge. We'll see.
Can I join? Can I join in?
No.
on that challenge?
I'm the only contestant in that.
Oh, man.
I was gonna say, man. Come on.
But I can see in the near future, maybe we'll have not Shagman, we'll have a Knives Templars hammer in or a knife challenge or something in the future.
We need to do that. I'm down.
Yeah,
100%. I was thinking about it earlier today, actually.
Yeah, we can auction off all
that'd
the
be super
knives
cool.
for people to buy them to contribute to me. So I can see us doing that as well. So with all that being said, hey, let's take a little break and catch our breath, and we'll be right back.
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino Wet Sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code TEMPLARS10 for 10% off your next order.
Hey, welcome back. So, yeah, we were talking about the Knives Templars and maybe doing hammer in because I'm maybe coming up with some spots for that. And also maybe even an international hammer in. We may have some famous Norwegian knife smiths coming over. And
Maybe a famous Polish one too.
I will extend that offer, but I don't know. If we do it the week before Blade Show, because I know last year he came and he did. He toured Florida and worked his way up to Georgia, so maybe we can get him to go to Nashville and work his way down to Georgia that way.
Yeah, he's in the chopper competition with this. He's
Yeah.
he's one of the he's in the top 5 judge thing that I'm in with Dennis
Who are we talking about?
and Trolsky.
Trotsky.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mikkel.
yeah. He's in the chopper challenge with this, the YouTuber challenge.
Yeah, that's cool. He's really starting to grow as you all are. But also the Knives Templar's growing. We launched a new website this week, so if people go to go to knivestemplars.com, you'll see that we've got a brand new website out there that offers many different things. As much as a podcast website can offer, it offers opportunities to listen to the podcast, to buy merchandise, to get involved with the podcast. People can go on there and submit questions or criticize us or compliment us or anything from the site. We've also got a sponsorship page out there where we encourage everybody to go out and click those links and go see our sponsors. Today, we launched a product review showcase so that anybody that has knife making products or services in the knife making community, we've got some information up there where you can submit your products or services for a truthful, with integrity evaluation, and we will get that posted not only in a blog but YouTube video, as well as links from the website from then on out to make sure people know where to find your special products or services out there. And then a little bit about each one of us. So I didn't want to get too cloudy with all the information out there, but it's pretty clean, and we're excited about that. So anybody that wants to go out and see the website, you just go to knivestemplars.com. So a lot of fun. You guys been on the website yet?
I'm going on it right now.
Yep. Looks good. Did a good job.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of pleased with it. So, matter of fact, the website used to exist within my knife brand website, and now I've got all that directly linking. Matter of fact, I think if you do a search, it'll still go to my knife brand website, but over a little bit of time, it'll populate over. I've already started that process, but we'll get there. It's growing. Who knows? Who realized how far we would be in a year? Because, guys, my next thing to say is happy anniversary.
Whoop, whoop.
1 year.
1 year?
Really?
And with us being on for 1 year, I don't want to go without saying props and respect to Chris Jones and Matthew Rich, previous Templars that were on the show with us. Certainly, Pinto and Mark aren't with us tonight. They've stepped away, but congratulations for you guys sticking with us and helping us to grow this over the past year. We're growing every day.
Sir,
I know that you're always hungry guy. You're young and growing up. Do you want to hear what we've got on the menu tonight?
enlighten me.
I do, brother. I'm going to enlighten you. Tonight, we're going to have some news and useful reviews. We'll also get in there a little bit of a beer review because I'm drinking a special one tonight. Maybe we'll kick that off first. Then we're going to have some topics that we're going to go through. One of them being we're going to talk about knife photos and knife videos for like your YouTube sites or presenting your products or just making good photographs, some of the skills and some of the tricks that we have there. And having Kyle Daly on the show tonight is excellent because I know one of his recent podcasts featured how he and his co-host are doing so and making good videos and photos for their particular ventures. Then we're going to, if I didn't mention, we're going to have some questions. We're going to get some listener feedback, and we're just going to have a good time at it tonight. So how's that sound?
Sounds good.
I'm on board.
I was kind of hoping Pinto would have been here tonight because we were going to do some Templars Playhouse, and we were going to hear some more about the exploits of Odysseus. What's that guy's name from Heisenberg? Odysseus Heisenberg.
Oh yeah, Breaking Bad. Yeah,
Templars Playhouse, huh?
Knife Templars Playhouse. You missed that one, Eric.
Yeah.
Did you not?
I
Did
love
you
it.
not hear? Did you not hear the Templars Playhouse?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like that is.
Yeah. So, Luke, you already told us what you're drinking. I will hold up what I'm drinking here. I think you can't see it, but it says it is from Straight to L, right out of Coleman, Alabama. And I'm probably drinking what I need to tonight. It's called a Chill Pill Pilsner. Chill Pill Pilsner. And this particular one, this is what they say about it. Government warning. According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy because of the risk of child defects. So I'm good there. I identify as I ain't woke. So you don't have to worry about me. And I will tell you, this is just an excellent Pilsner. It doesn't have that. Typically, the beers that come out of this particular place have a real citrusy taste. And I've tried to get away from those IPAs because I'm just kind of getting sick of drinking oranges and grapefruit. So it's nice to have a Pilsner. But as the name suggests, they are straight to L Brewery. I actually prefer the ales that they produce, but it's a good beer. I will give it, I'll give it 5 hops because it's good. It's a nice change from those IPAs. Joey, what's in the styrofoam cup? May I ask?
Last two shows, Knob Creek.
Knob Creek.
Yeah. How long does it take to get? How long does it take to get through those 3 bottles?
3 bottles. Whew.
Oh.
I went to deer camp. I went to deer camp one time, and a buddy of mine, he said, I got something special for us. I said, okay. And he got out these 1.5-inch thick steaks and threw them on the grill out there next to the camper out in the middle of nowhere. Then he got out this bottle, and I'd never seen that brand before, never paid any attention. And so this is Knob Creek, and he got out some Diet Coke because we had Diet Coke. And I know. And he mixed that with some ice in that Diet Coke, and we were sitting there eating them steaks. And let's just say the next morning, I came to, and we went out and worked in the field all day, and it was one of those days where you really wish you could have just slept in for a few hours. And I didn't drink an awful lot of it, but I drank enough of it. We'll just put it that way. But after I came back, I was like, this is good stuff. And I realized that you don't need to be mixing that single barrel special with anything other than just itself and maybe a little bit of ice. So it's a good sipping whiskey. So I can imagine just you and your styrofoam cup are having some personal time tonight.
Yeah, feeling pretty good.
It's a warming type alcohol. It's good. John, Don, you drinking your cow?
I'm drinking my cacao, baby.
Yeah, that's good. Now that I'm over the disease that I had, where I had coughing fits last week, I can go back to my regular drink. I was finding myself getting addicted to honey and lemon and tea this week, so I had to put myself through a detox and went back to drinking other things other than that. Eric, is that a can I see over to your left there?
Yeah, this is I think it's a lemon lime soda that's 100% natural flavors and no caffeine.
Yeah.
It's Sprit.
Sprit. Yeah, Spritty.
Spritty.
Drinking some Sprit.
Good old
Joey,
Sprit.
Joey, your screen's right next to his. If you take your cup up and kind of pour it to your right, let's see if it kind of goes into his cup. No, I don't think we're going to line that up there. So you guys, so tonight's just kind of a laid back going with the brew that we got tonight. Hey, let's jump into some knife news.
I got one if you don't mind me sharing.
I would love for you to. Go right ahead, Kyle.
I'm drinking a brew from that was brewed right here in Chicago from Revolution Brewery. It's called Straight Jacket. So it's a barley wine aged in bourbon barrels, and it's 15% alcohol by volume. So you don't need many of those to.
What?
Hello,
that's a stout boy right there.
Yeah, so they age it for 12 months in bourbon barrels, and it's got notes of stone fruit, toasted coconut, molasses, and vanilla that it says on the can here. But yeah, it's one of my favorite brews that I ever get, and anytime I see it, I always try to grab a 4-pack of cans now. They used to do bomber bottles, but I like it in the 12-pack of cans because a bomber bottle is a little much for one night if you're all by yourself.
Are you allowed to smoke around that when you open the can? Do you have to let it air out a little bit before you light a cigarette?
Maybe. I don't smoke, so I don't know. But it's pretty tasty.
Man, sounds good. It's like a pie,
Yeah,
man.
that sounds like over here in Louisiana, we call that payao.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. There's states that don't even allow that drink. They're just like,
Yeah.
nope, you can't have that.
Is that because of the alcohol content, or
15%.
yeah?
That's a lot.
I was
You
going to say
can't
the
call
most
that
I've
a
seen.
beer.
The most I've seen in Alabama was like 7%, I believe. I think that's
Yeah.
Alabama. So, wow, yeah, you're getting your money's worth. That. So, how much is one can of that?
Probably about $8-10, something like that.
Okay, so you're drinking a whole 6-pack in a can.
Yeah.
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 Well, let me ask you this: who's your hockey team, Kyle? Who's your favorite hockey team?
Watch the Blackhawks. I grew up in Southern Indiana,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
wasn't much of a hockey area, but living up here in Chicago, the Blackhawks dominate pretty good, so it's pretty easy to
It's a
root
very
for them whenever
valid
they're
team.
on.
Blackhawks is
Yeah,
good.
no, they're not. I'm a Red Wings fan, and I have been for years. And you got to be as much as in the winning years and the losing years, you got to be a fan. So actually, it's
Yeah.
Blackhawks being an original 8 team. I love them. We had Chris Chelios come over the Red Wings, so that's the era that I'm talking about, the '90s and the early 2000s, and then
See,
yeah,
as a hockey player, I like hockey, the specific players on teams. I'm more of a player person than I am the whole entire team person.
right.
But yeah, because I had different people from the Bruins going up. I had, everybody, and it was, yeah, whoever took people out the fastest, whoever did not care about penalty boxes, because it was in the late '80s, early '90s, hockey was awesome.
You're describing Happy Gilmore in the opening sequence of the movie. That we've got that in common, my friend. Another resume item for me. I'm a past hockey player.
Yeah, I played for a very long time. Started when I was 4.
I started when I was 36, played in an adult no-check league, even though there was some checking that took place when I'd moved up to Michigan. Some guy got me into it. So I'm in Alabama, and I've still got my CCM skates and my sticks and everything out in the garage. But I've still got my fishing
My
shanty out there too. Yeah.
my stuff is about 10 feet away from me in a corner right over there.
Yeah. Well, if you just soaked the backyard down this week, you probably could have used it. So,
well, we have an ice rink here. We have an actual hockey rink in this town. We do ice and roller and all that stuff. We have our own team.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide. I've got my ice shanty from Michigan, and it's blue. So, I mean, you really can't take it out and use it as a shooting house. But I was thinking, if I just spray it, I could probably use it as a shooting house. So, we'll see. And I could actually, from last show, I could, these little tip up things that you can, that you drop your lures and bait through when you're out on the ice. I could just dig cat holes in there, and I'd have indoor plumbing and bathrooms. So I'd be good to go. Good to go. So in the news, we'll transition and got some really good news this week for collectors and knife enthusiasts. Guys, you're encouraged to attend the symposium and learn firsthand how modern knives are forged and made at the 2023 Batson Bladesmithing Symposium. It's going to be held March 31st. April 1st and 2nd, and you don't want to miss this because it's the 34th annual Batson Bladesmithing Symposium and Knife Show conducted at Tannehill Ironworks Historical Park in McCalla, Alabama, which is real close to Tuscaloosa, where the Crimson Tide played, just to give you a reference where it's at. The knife show will also have demonstrations with hands-on learning for a nominal fee. I think that's an extra $10. And there's food, camping, hotels, and an auction. So, guys, I'll be down at that, and there'll be lots of things to buy, lots of things to see, lots of fun to have. I believe, Luke, you're going to be there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to try to set up a little personal booth for myself. And then my dad is actually going to be giving a class at Batson. He's going to be giving a kitchen knife grinding demonstration, I believe.
Right. Right, and the Alabama Forge Council is the one that puts that on, and Josh Howard will be down there cooking a pig for everybody. So make sure
Man,
you
I
take
can't wait.
advantage of that. And we've talked about it tonight, but I want to make sure everybody hears the dates that March 17th and 18th. And you guys in Texas know what's going to take place? Blade Show Texas. So from some of the same folks that are bringing you Blade Show Atlanta, which takes place in June, which is the world's largest knife show. They're going to have a 2-day celebration of knives and cowboy creations in the heart of Texas. They're going to have over 300 exhibitors of customs and factory knives. Watch free knife demos and become part of the knife community. It's going to be held at the Fort Worth Convention Center. And there's a possibility I may even be over there, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So I'm going to see if I can't work that one. So that's Blade Show Texas coming up March 17th and 18th.
And
Is this the first year they're holding it not in the cattle yard?
That would be a question for Eric.
I know they traditionally hold it there, or maybe they did it last year.
No,
2 years ago.
Last year it was at the convention center.
Okay.
Was it the cattle yard because of COVID or something previously, or more?
No, that's just where they had it. That was before they changed the name to Blade Show. So it's been it's recent that they changed it over.
Gotcha. And I am having my special beaver fur hat made right now, and I look forward to debuting that. I've got a guy with Goober Grabber Headwear out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Goober Grabber?
I know. What a name. Okay. But this guy makes some of the most beautiful hats I have ever seen. He does a lot of reenactors hats for like Civil War, Revolutionary War, a lot of period clothing and stuff. And he's real involved in that community. And he's actually making me a hat that I'm excited to get on my head, because my old one, I used to wear an old Stetson open crown with about a 3-inch or 3.5-inch brim on it, and it just got trashed over the years, so I'm finally replacing that. Next in the news, here's some fun news, not knife news. What season's coming up in March for any of you guys? Do you know what hunting season comes up in March? What's that going to be, Luke?
It's going to be dodo season. We're shooting the extinct dodo birds here in Atlanta.
That's weird. Joey.
Turkey,
baby, turkey. Well, I can't wait to go out and get even with the turkeys that have been making faces at me all non-season. Aggressive turkey causes chaos in Minnesota neighborhood. January 26, 2003. Residents of a Minnesota neighborhood said they are under a constant attack from an increasingly aggressive turkey that took up residence in the area. Rachel Goss said the turkey first showed up at the mobile park in Coon Rapids as part of a flock in November of 21, but the bird stayed behind when the rest of its cohorts moved on a few weeks later. She said the turkey has since become increasingly aggressive. Maybe he's waiting for somebody to move out and move into one of the mobile homes, but often attacking people and damaging cars and other property. She said, "This turkey attacks me every single day. It follows me, goes up my stairs, tries to get me into my house. When I leave my car, it follows my car. Or when I leave in my car, it follows my car." Neighbors said children have to carry sticks when they walk to the school bus in the morning to keep the turkey from chasing them. This
okay.
Is fun. I know. Go ahead. I've got the remedy, but go ahead.
Holy cow. You can tell that this was not something that happened in like Texas or something like that, because the season only means so much. The season only means so much. You chase one person as a turkey in this town, you are for dinner.
Yeah, well, residents say they've contacted the Department of Natural Resources. That's the wrong call right there. But they were only offered advice about keeping the turkey from finding food. It's not safe for anybody, including turkey. So I would just like it to be relocated to a place where it could be with the other turkeys and not be a nuisance to us or potentially hurt children. Emily Ashland said. The wildlife manager, Scott Nolan, with the Department of Natural Resources, said officials are reluctant to relocate nuisance turkeys as they often go on and cause further problems elsewhere.
I'd relocate it right into my freezer.
Well, removing the bird is kind of a last resort, Nolan told the Washington Post. We don't want to do it right away in any situation like this. And I think you've already answered it because I just wrote one thing under this: crossbow time. Silent but deadly. I watched a video. I can't wait for turkey season. I watched a video recently where a guy was crossbow hunting turkey, and he showed the best way to shoot a turkey so you don't damage the breast. And that's when they turn their back to you and moon you, spread their tail feathers, and you just shoot them right up the target. And it takes out the spine, the neck, the heart, and everything, all the arteries right there at that time. And I was like, what a way to die! But that's what this turkey would get. That's definitely what this turkey would get. So,
Jeez.
Absolutely.
I wonder if it was a tom, a jake, or a hen.
Probably, I would probably think it would have to be a tom.
Yeah.
Because the hen would just talk you to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the jake would just bow up and go away because they ain't
yeah,
got the muscle to prove anything.
Nah.
Yeah, testosterone laden. Tom turkey is what it was. Let's take a break. Be right back.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers: Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives. Make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
Well, guys, enough turkey talk, enough news. How about we get into something interesting and knife making related? We're about an hour into this now, so it's about time to talk about knives, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Oh,
Well, I think we jump right into the Maker's Mark because we've already had a little bit from Kyle Daly, but I'm ready for him to unload on us and tell us all about him and everything he's involved in and done, the history and everything. Because, like Eric Rivers and we talked about Trollsky a little earlier, and there's a bunch of other well-known knife makers out there. Kyle's been involved in it for quite some time as well. He's got a great history. If you listen to his podcast, and that's a knife perspective, and you can find that on all the major podcast providers, and also his website, khdailyKnives.com, I believe, and you'll find him integrating and talking and contributing all around the knife community. So welcome to the Maker's Mark, Kyle. How are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. It's been a good week, so been working a bunch and glad to make it into the weekend and spend some time with my family and stuff.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think if I'm not mistaken, listening to your podcast, were you in the Marines? Am I correct on that?
No, a lot of people seem to think I was in the military. I wasn't. I didn't do any military service.
Were you in Cub Scouts?
I did, yeah, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts.
Okay, well, I was Cub Master Chip. Thank you for your service.
Nice.
Trust me, if you were I was Cub Master Chip, and I know you've got young boys, I believe, or boy.
Yeah, I got twin boys that are 6.5.
So you've got the opportunity to be Cub Master Kyle here in the near future, because trust me, somebody's always willing to give away the designation of Cub Master, and then you do it for a few years, and then it takes you 3 years to get out of it. You know, begging people to take it over. So when we say thank you for your service as Cub Master, trust me, it's it's well deserved. Tell us a little bit about KH Daily and Knives perspective.
Yeah, so when I met my wife on eHarmony, we ended up, I moved from Southern Indiana up to Chicagoland and got married and at my job at Navistar, one of my coworkers told me about Andy Roy when he just started doing knife making, and he was doing a lot of work in progress photos and stuff like that, and started following a bunch of his blade form stuff. And I never even like considered, or I only knew about production knives. I never thought that was something you actually could make yourself. And seeing Andy, and I used to work at a machine shop before I moved to Chicago, and have always been really good with my hands and stuff like that. And I have an engineering degree. And watching Andy's stuff, I was like, that's a lot of the equipment that I want in my shop anyway. And I'd love to start making some knives. And then went down to Blade Show in Atlanta. That's where I met Dan Eastland, that I do the Knife Perspective podcast with, when he was still an apprentice with Andy. And he invited me to the shop to come after the Blade Show. Andy always usually took a week off after Blade Show to recover from. Everybody that's ever had a table at Blade Show knows the craziness that happens leading up to Blade Show. And ever since then, I was pretty much hooked. Started making my own, or building my grinder, and doing all that stuff. So I got the bug in 2012. Didn't finish my first knife until 2015. That's when I say I actually started. It took me 3 years to build equipment and everything like that, and slowly pay for it. Didn't want to take out a bunch of money and get in debt for it. So yeah, finished my first one in 2015. Been doing it for 8 years now. And my job, they moved their testing facility to San Antonio, Texas, and I decided not to move to Texas and stay up here and be with the boys and stuff. So that's what I was been full time for the last year and a half, and yeah, been doing awesome. And like, I make a bunch of knife making tools along with the knives and stuff too. So
What kind of tools are you making?
So I make a carbide straightening hammer that Don has, and that was when
I think I saw several of those come out this past week. Did I not?
Yep, I made 24 of them, and there's already been almost 10 of them sold. So
wow,
yeah,
I need to do another batch of them. So
I'm gonna pick up one of those from you, Cal.
Yeah, they work really well. The first batch of MagnaCut that I ever made, I made 24 knives, and 21 of them were so warped that I couldn't even grind them, being kitchen knives. They were so banana shaped. And talking with Larry and Thomas, I was thinking I was going to have to like temper them back down, straighten them, and then try heat treating them. And he sent me a Blade Forums post, and there were a bunch of guys talking about carbide chisels. And then talked with a couple other makers. One of them was Dan Bidinger also, and he told me about using a hammer technique. And it's not a new thing. They do it apparently in the sawmill industry a bunch, straightening saw blades, but use a piece of carbide that's around 90 HRC. So you hammer on something, and that harder steel or tungsten carbide can actually dent the hardened steel and straighten your blades. So I was able to straighten all my blades and grind them and save my big batch. It was like almost $700 just in MagnaCut that I thought I was going to have to possibly scrap. So I also do a lot of hand sanding of my knives, and I got a 36-inch radius platen from Bill Benke, and was wanting to hand sand in that, and tried to start grinding something that would be roughly the same radius and everything. And then one of my coworkers was trying to get me into 3D printing, and he goes, "This is like a perfect thing for 3D printing." So we started making a stick that had the radius, and then posted a picture of it, and almost immediately I had a bunch of people message me and say, "Hey, can you send me one of those for hollow grinding?" So I make a whole range of wheel sizes from I think 4-inch diameter all the way to 36-inch radius. And I also do a lot of flat grinds, so some sanding sticks. Whenever I was working hand sanding, my engineering brain couldn't turn off. I'm like, how can I make this easier? Because this is not very much fun. I say my sanding sticks helps hand sanding suck less. It doesn't, it's not a magic bullet, but yeah, so a bunch of those sanding sticks and stuff. And I've become really known for my file work on my back spines of my knives. I believe I'm going to be teaching a class at Blade Show on file work again this year. Alicia just contacted me about teaching a class, so
Oh,
working
wow.
on figuring that out. I've taught the file work class at Blade Show the last 2 years, and I saw some files that I use for my patterns and stuff, and the carbide hammers, and then I sell an epoxy bottle stand. I always got tired of waiting for the epoxy to run down to the tip in my bottles, and I kind of like had them set in something that would hold them upside down, and I was always knocking them over and everything, and I just 3D printed something really quick to hold them upside down, and posted a picture of it on Instagram, and got 10 messages saying, you got to send me one of those, and was like, all right, I guess I got to redesign this so that I can actually ship it a lot easier and it won't get broken. So you can hold your bottles of G-Flex upside down, and
I actually
not
like
have
that.
to.
It's a nice tool.
Yeah. So lots of cool things, and always coming up with different ideas and stuff like that. And do a lot of kitchen knives, do some bushcraft knives. My pocket bushcrafter is kind of my most unique kind of design. Um, Knife Center just got a big batch of those and sold all of them out in like 5 days. So they've got another order in Magna Cut that I'm going to be doing, along with some more bushcrafters that I'm hopefully going to be getting their way here in the next month or two.
You know, Andy Roy influenced you. What are some of the other, what would you say some of the other people over time? Because you have a very unique, you have a good looking style knife that, or set of knives that you make, a variety, I guess is a better word. Who influenced you most along your journey?
A lot of the Fiddleback apprentices, Dan Eastland and I have been really good friends ever since 2012. Todd Hunt is another big one. He wasn't one of Andy's apprentices. He actually was like 20 miles away from where I grew up, and if I knew that he was making knives when I was down there, I would have been over at his shop pounding the door down all the time. Um, Dylan Fletcher's another one that has just taught me a tremendous amount of stuff. When I saw him at Blade Show, picking his brain. Um, uh, Jess Hoffman is another good one that him and I have become really good friends the last few years. Peter Martin is another one that's given me some good stuff, and then his son Corey that we had talking about photos that you were talking about. He's one of the top photographers in the nation for knife photography.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get? How did you get? Or let me ask you this real quick because I meant to. Have you met Jess Hoffman?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he's been to my shop, and he's actually going to have a table that's like last year he was right across the row from me, a few tables down. So
yeah. I loved his style. He was showing how he and I was pointing this to his videos, how he grinds from the tip in.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really unique how he does that. Really enjoyed seeing it.
yeah, he can get that little, or he does that like swept
Yeah.
curve kind of plunge. Really helps with making that a lot easier.
Oh yeah, very humble guy too. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Knife Perspective. How did you get started on that?
I wanted to start doing a podcast. I used to drive, had like 20 to 40-minute commute depending on traffic and stuff every day. So I listened to a lot of podcasts, and then wanted to start doing one of my own, and mentioned it to Dan, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And he goes, as long as you could do the computer side, I can help with the other stuff. So that's when it was kind of born. And yeah, we've had lots of good guests on, a lot of our friends and stuff like that, and uh, had some really good people in the industry on.
Now, how did you meet Dan?
I met him in 2012 at the first Blade Show. We were talking when he was one of Andy's apprentices, and on Blade forums, and him and I just became pretty much good friends from the start.
Gotcha. Yeah, you guys seem to have a really good chemistry when talking with each other on your podcast.
Thank you.
You very knowledgeable, and I like y'all sense of humor.
Thanks. I'm a little biased. I think our show is pretty good. I really like that we always try to have a lot of good tips and try to bring some knowledge. And one of the other things I like to talk with our guests about, because you can usually find out a lot about their knives and stuff, but we like to know more about the actual people and kind of some of the stuff behind the knives. When we talked with uh, a bunch of different people, like learning some of their backstory and stuff like that is almost more interesting than some of the stuff that they do with knife making.
Well, let me clarify my statement there because I say I actually like your humor. I'm kind of sarcastic, and you guys are kind of like Laurel and Hardy. You're the straight guy, and he's always sliding in there, or not Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello. He's always sliding in the funny ones, and
Yeah, and you only hear a percentage of the ones that actually make the cut. So
yeah. So speaking of that, how many hours a week do you spend when you do your podcast? Do you spend editing it out?
For the podcast, it usually averages 2 hours for every hour of so for like a 2 hour podcast, I usually spend at least 4 hours editing it.
Yeah, I've kind of saw that myself.
Yeah.
So you are going to be at Blade Show this year, as you mentioned. You'll be possibly doing some demonstrations and instruction. What would you say? How did you get as integrated into Blade Show as you have, where people are asking you to, for some of our listeners out there who may have those ambitions, where people are asking you to put on demonstrations and such? What led up to that?
Well, we had Alicia Newton on. She's the person that kind of does the whole Blade Show organization stuff. We had her on the podcast, and she actually grew up in Columbus, also where I'm from. So it was pretty crazy that her family knows a lot of my family and stuff like that. And I had mentioned to her that I was interested in teaching a class, and she had a person cancel and ask if I wanted to do something, because I told her I get asked a lot of how I do my file work and stuff like that. And the last 2 years it's sold out both years, so it's been pretty popular.
I got you. Now, how did she get into the knife industry and what she does? Is there anything, since you know each other, I'm just curious because I've heard her name, I've seen some of her communications. What's her background in the knives? How did she get started in that?
Yeah, she was doing like event planning and stuff like that, and then the company that she worked for, I believe, got bought out by the company that did Blade Show, and she kind of apprenticed with the person, and then ended up taking it over herself. So I think that's our kind of just happenstance moved around.
So she just kind of got pulled into it, and there she is. Well, she's doing a wonderful job with it, because I tell you what, that show continues to grow and grow and grow, does it not?
Yeah, all 3 shows are growing every year.
She's having to probably spend a lot of time away from home, because you got California, Texas, and the East Coast show that she probably is.
I think she's out of Cincinnati, but I don't remember right offhand. The Blade Show Weston's in Salt Lake City now, and then Blade Show is always a great time. I forget who it was said that I'm the guy with the white cooler. I've got a Yeti cooler that I always have full of beer down in the pit, so I bring it down and hand out beers and talk with people, and I've got a whole bunch of stickers that bunch of other makers and stuff that I'm friends with, so the cooler's getting pretty well covered now. But come and see me in the pit. I'm pretty open to talking to everybody.
Cool.
Good. Do you have any Miller High Life in that cooler when you're down in the pit? Because that's what Luke drinks.
I don't think High Life has been one of the ones. We've had some Bud Light. I usually buy a bunch of Yingling.
It's a good choice.
They sell it in Indiana, but not in Illinois. That's where the kind of cutoff is. So when I spend some time there, I always try to get some Yingling and bring it back. But Dan usually throws in some Sweet Baby Jesus. I forget what
is that a beer, or is that just
yeah, it's some like it's like a chocolate peanut butter stout or something like that. It's a little too thick for my liking. I don't usually I don't drink coffee, so I don't like the coffee flavored beers. But yeah, usually Yingling, usually have Blue Moon, stuff like that.
Now, you're from Chicago area, so let me ask you this, and most
Like
people
I'm a transplant.
yeah, but I lived in Detroit, and I was a transplant up there before I came down to Alabama, and you might laugh at me because it may be like a junk beer question, but do y'all have Labatt's in Chicago?
Yeah, there's still a Bat Boo.
See,
It's not something that I usually drink all that much, but
see, that's just that was like the beer at the hockey games when the Red Wings, and I know most people you go, hey, you got Labatt's up there, like they're like, why would you want to drink that? But it's kind of like people that drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's just kind of like, hey, that was their beer at
yeah.
one point in time. So,
Yeah. Around here, Old Style is one of the Chicago beers that
yeah.
everybody goes gaga over.
Well, I may have to get you to since you're coming to Atlanta, if you can get a tractor trailer and fill it full of $50,000 worth of Labatt's Blue and get it down there in 24 hours.
Yeah,
You know,
before it gets warm.
yeah, you'll get the money. No, seriously, I may have to have you bring me a 6-pack of Labatt's down there because maybe I can just taste it again, and it won't be the memories that I had when I recalibrate with it or something. But yeah, that was just one I always drank up there. So hey guys, I'm asking all the questions. What about you fellas? We got an interview panel.
I'm just sitting here going through his Instagram, stalking him, and man, you do a lot of foul work on those spines, and it is beautiful.
Beautiful work.
Yep.
Goodness
Thanks.
gracious.
I've made 443 knives now, and almost all those other than about 40 my first 40 knives didn't have file work, so gotten pretty good at it and do it quite a bit. So
I can see that. I mean,
yeah.
you're pumping out knives, man. Like that is awesome.
Yeah, I think it really adds a lot, especially to a custom knife. It's one you won't find that on any production knife. Like a bunch of the other like knife features and stuff, you'll occasionally see it on production knives, but filework's one of the things that like you just can't really do without doing a little bit of personal touch there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think it's awesome. I really do. And I know for a fact that I am going to get one of your straightening hammers. I started doing that ball peen technique whenever Otis here was talking about it, and I like doing that to straighten the blades. Sometimes tempering it out just doesn't work. So
Yep, I did 9 2-hour tempering cycles on the Magna Cut, and it just wasn't moving.
Wow.
That's when I thought I was going to have to like bring all of them back and just reheat treat them all.
yeah,
But yeah, the carbide hammer thing, I was like 90% sure it wasn't going to work, and then it worked out great. And I've had lots of really good feedback from a lot of guys. And I also make a little spring punch. Some of the slip joint or traditional pocket folder knife guys were asking for something with a smaller ball so they could use it on their springs, and the spring punch is a 3/32 inch ball, so they can line it up right in the center of their spring and hit it really accurately and repeatable every time. It's not really good for like knife blades too much because it's such a small ball, but for those springs and stuff, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the guys about that.
yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I love how as a maker, you've opted to make your own tools, like the sanding sticks, the straightening ball peen. What moved you to do that, Kyle?
So a lot of my Instagram following and the podcast, they're all other makers, and you know how hard it is to sell a knife to another maker. Usually, I end up trading knives more than I do buying knives, but I just can't turn my engineering brain off. So I'm always trying to think of ways to make things easier, make things faster. I posted a trick that I use, and I think Andy and a bunch of guys do it. I'm not the first one to you put pins in as you drill your holes when you're lining it up. I put a lot of extra pins. I do 7 pins usually in my knives. So, you got to make sure they all line up. So I drill a hole, put a pin in, and I put a little piece of handle material on the pin so it's easier to pull them in and out. And started making those because people were asking so much for those, and just lots of little things like that you never really think of some of your stuff, and then somebody comes to the shop or somebody sees something in a video and you get 4 or 5 people, so you do make a handful of them, and then it kind of goes from there.
Yeah, you're not kidding about the amount of pins you put in these bad boys. I was looking at I'm looking at this EDC style knife, and you got about what looks like 7 in that one. That is tough to get all those lined up. That's for sure.
I was going to say it's tough to get 3 lined up sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, if you drill them, or I always get them real flat and then do like super glue, like tack weld kind of thing on the outside. You could put some super glue on there and hit it with the accelerator, and it holds them together. And when you drill them, it really helps them to stay lined up that way.
Yeah.
You really did learn from Andy.
Andy and Dan and Dylan, man, those guys taught me a lot of stuff.
That's exactly how they taught me. Same way.
Yeah. And so owe a lot to all those guys. And I try to, whenever I have people ask me questions, I always try to answer as best I can. So sometimes it's hard when you get busy, but always try to answer it and pay it forward.
That's really great to hear you say that, because, and you do that with your podcast and so on. But the thing is that that's what's great about this community, because we have to encourage each other. We have to support each other, and we have to help people to grow, because that just feeds the friendships and the relationships that we have with each other. But also it keeps this particular community strong, because if you go out and talk to 10 knife smiths or bladesmiths, 9.97 of them are going to be just darn good guys you'd enjoy and get along with right up front. I've never met anybody yet, but I'm not going to say that it's perfect, because we had a few people tell Eric, you can photograph it, but you can't make it.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
It's like, first of all, I can make anything. That's the whole point. But I don't want to copy nobody's stuff. I want to make my own stuff.
Yeah.
So, Don, you've got one of Kyle's hammers?
Yeah, I do. I have the 4-ounce hammer, the 4-ounce. Man, if you ain't got one, y'all need to get one, man. It really does work good. Really does.
You do it a little bit differently. So, usually when you're like forging and stuff, if you have like a banana shape, you want to hammer on the outside and flatten it back down. The carbide hammer works a little bit differently, where, like I said, the carbide's like 90 HRC. So you can hammer on stuff like 70 HRC, no problem with it. But if it's really warped, sometimes you'll still crack them. It's not a silver bullet. So, but you can save, like, I've probably saved over 150 knives, and I've had like 3 of them break. So, it really works really well. So you want to hammer on the inside curve, and you kind of want to do a line kind of from the top of the tang all the way down to the bottom. And that when you hammer it, it actually is cold forging and pushing the steel out. So it spreads the steel, and then that forces that curve to come back down straight.
You unbanana your banana.
Yep. And I like the rounded indentations. It doesn't do it quite as directional as some of the chisels, but that rounded indent has so much less of a stress riser than the chisel mark.
Yeah, but you can sand it right out.
Yeah.
I have a pile of like 7 or 8 blades.
Yeah, that's an amazing technique, and I always tell people the least amount of times that you have to reheat treat a knife, the better. There's so many ways to get around having to do that, because you're risking messing up so much stuff whenever you have to go through and reheat treat it. So anytime you can do those processes, like using that little hammer, or if you gotta temper it, try and straighten it or whatnot. But yeah, it's not worth reheat treating sometimes.
People don't realize you can temper however many cycles you want to temper.
So guys,
lots of times for like.
I was going to say, guys, I was going to say, guys, let's take a moment here, and we'll be right back. This interview is going long, and I love it. We want it to go even longer, so we'll be right back right after we take a short break.
Hey listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is AmeriBraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at AmeriBraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give AmeriBraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, AmeriBraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. Hey, we're going to continue on with Kyle Daly here because this is an extra special Maker's Mark. We've got quite a knife veteran on the show, and didn't mean to cut him off before, but we gotta pay the light bill, so we'll jump right back in there.
I was going to say, lots of times with like 154 CM or CPM 154, the shim tempering and stuff has worked out really well for me. Lots of times if I get any bananaing and those shim temper really well at 400 degrees. But yeah, like for Magna Cut, it just wasn't moving. And I did, 9-10 2-hour cycles at varying temperatures, and it just wasn't working. So lots of times you can do it. I think for some of the high carbon steel, shim tempering works really well also. But being able to just hammer that little bit out works so much quicker.
Yeah, I tell you, it really works good for me, man.
Yeah. What's your favorite steel to work with, Kyle?
I really like 154 CM. That's one of the ones that I have loved in a lot of my production knives and stuff. A lot of my customers have kind of been demanding the CPM version of it, so I'm kind of converting over and using up all my 154 CM and doing CPM 154. I don't really notice much of a difference in the grindability or anything, but people just want to see that Crucible CPM thing. Lots of people still seem to think 154 CM is kind of subpar, but it's great for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now the differences in those steel, it's just how they form them, correct?
So 154 CM is the forged version where it's all like poured and then forged into shape. The CPM version is the powdered metal, so they actually atomize it, and you get a little bit finer carbides and stuff like that in it, and you get a little bit more toughness and things out of the steel. But I can't notice any difference really.
Okay, yeah.
Is the CPM 154 is that what took the place to ATS 34?
They're almost identical. That would be the same as 154 CM. I don't think ATS 34 is a powdered metallurgy.
No, it's not. I just know they don't produce it anymore.
Yeah, RWL 34 is the same thing that stands for Robert W. Lovelace. He was kind of the first person to find 154 CM. It was a aircraft ball bearing steel used in turbine engines for its high temperature heat resistance and stuff too. And he was one of the first people to bring that super steel into the knife making realm.
Pretty good.
Yeah, there's Laren Thomas of Knife Steel Nerds does lots of great articles on all sorts of knife history, and I saw him post he's writing a book on the history of knife making steel. Can't wait to hear like that. If you don't know much about Laren Thomas, he's like really good with he's in a very unique position because his dad kind of invented the stainless steel Damascus and everything, and yeah, he's really connected in the knife steel industry and he's got a PhD in metallurgy. PhD in metallurgy also. So
Yeah.
he knows and can talk with a lot of these guys and make the connections and stuff. So
Yeah,
I'm glad he's documenting a bunch of that stuff.
Hasn't he helped develop some steels? Didn't he help
Yeah,
develop?
he invented MagnaCut.
Cut, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's great once it's into a knife. Getting it there is a really long long road.
Is it after you harden it, it goes through some belts? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's got it doesn't have any chromium carbides. It's all vanadium carbides, so they're a lot tougher than chromium carbides. It just goes through belts really quick, and then once you get above like 120 grit, you just or hand sanding it. You'll hit it with 400 grit, and you're like, it didn't even do anything. So,
like, what am I doing here?
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to go ahead and give you a little test tonight to see if you're really knowledgeable about knife making. Are you ready for the test, Kyle?
Sure, bring it at me.
I mean, we just want to check here. You guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Listen to the results, guys, because we will be using this to vote on him as a Knives Templar.
Okay.
Answer the following questions. You have 3 seconds per answer. Well, if he knows this stuff, we don't give him a chance to look it up on Google.
Yeah,
true.
What's your favorite respirator brand?
I use a 3M full face respirator. I believe it's the 6800 is the model that I have.
Cha-ching. Yeah, I've got a 6000 and a 6800. What's your favorite brand of power tools?
I like Milwaukee.
Boom.
Forge.
I love the color blue, but I like Milwaukee tools.
What's your favorite forge?
I don't forge, so
okay.
I really like the Apollo forge.
No. You can say I'm going to phone a friend, and then you ask Joey or I. Well, who do you want to phone that friend? You have to score 100%. Joey, what's your favorite forge? What would you tell him?
I run a Majestic.
And you say, Kyle?
Majestic.
Very
forge.
good. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Well, what's your favorite oven?
I have a even heat.
And yep. All right, we're coming down to a big one here. We're coming down to a big one. Grinder.
I really love my Broadbeck 2x72.
Is that answer acceptable?
It's a good grinder.
It's a good grinder.
I actually have one of the Broadbecks that's even more limited. So 2 years at Blade Show ago, they made three grinders out of 304 stainless, and my engineer in me just went to I had to have it, so got that one. It's all stainless steel.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine. You get credit for that answer because there were 3 acceptable answers. There is Broadbeck, Mirabraid, and any other brand. So, yeah. So there you go. Okay, guys. Last question. Okay, let's listen close here. What is dig deep? Think about this hard. Now, there's 3 seconds. Your favorite brand of carbide straightening hammer?
That'd be Cage Daily knife.
Cage Daily. All right. Well, guys, he scored 100%. So with that being said, as you know that at the end of each Pops Maker's Mark series, we always have a vote to see if we're going to make this guy who has his own podcast, Knife Perspective, an honorary Templar with all the rights and privileges to come on at any time, talk about us, let us talk to him, and we get up to come up and use his tools or whatever. We're going to take a vote right now on that. So, Kyle, your future is teetering on this. I'm not going to vote first because I don't want to influence the vote. So, Don?
Oh, yeah.
You got the typical Don O'Year. That's kind of like the Ric Flair woo or whatever. How do you do the Ric Flair woo, Don?
Woo!
There you go. That's Don's version of that. Eric Rivers, you say?
Affirmative.
You say that about everybody, Eric. Eric's like the nicest guy in the world, but you know what? In this case, I believe you. It's a definite affirmative for me. So there, I've influenced it. But now he's got 66% of the vote. But it takes 100%. Luke, you say?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah, man. All right, that's a yes. Joey?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
And for Odysseer and Mark, we'll just
You
go
gonna
ahead and give them a thumbs up, affirmative, that they'll say yes as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mark
yes.
Willie's a rookie.
I'll proxy for them.
All right, Kyle, you're in, and I will tell you, I've listened to your, I say this, we listened to your podcast. One thing that makes it extremely entertaining, but also educational, is the vast knowledge that you've got, that you've absorbed all these years, and what you bring to the table, and also with a great personality. That I may be wrong. I don't think I am, or maybe I should say you're maybe more humble than I would say. If they had a knife teaching course at a university or a college, by gosh, I'd take your class, because you got it going on, dude, and I appreciate that. I'd go to Eric Rivers' shop class and watch him beat out steel. He'd be like the shop teacher, but you'd be Professor Kyle. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, guys, let's go ahead and thank you, Kyle, for being a Maker's Mark contestant as well as a guest, and we'll come back anytime, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Majestic Forge is owned and operated by Brian and Kayla Horn in Rushville, Ohio. With many years of experience manufacturing 2 to 5 burner gas forges, Majestic Forge is your #1 source for blacksmith forges, farrier forges, and specialty forges. They are dedicated to creating top-of-the-line forges at a price you can afford. Majestic Forge has supplied forges to blacksmith schools, high schools, colleges, production shops, and TV shows such as Mythbusters. And Majestic Forge is the forge of choice for televisions forged in fire. Knife makers are in luck, as they offer forges that come with 2 or 3 deluxe burners. Here at Knives Templars, we are sure that you can find a USA-made Majestic Forge to suit your needs. Check out your next forge at majesticforge.com.
Anyway, all right. Well, welcome back, guys. Hey, so man, it was great to have Kyle on, and Kyle, you're still with us, and man, as a honorary co-host, you can stick with us the rest of the show. If you got to get off and get to making some knives, that's fine too. But you were invited to stick with
I'm
us
good.
for the good, because we got about another half hour of chatting here. I was going to say fireside, because Eric's got a fireplace in his background. There's a little fireside chat going on. So, moving into some of the topics tonight, we were going to talk about, and I've been wanting to get to this for a few weeks, is photos and videos. And all of us take photos and videos of our knife. I know that Eric and Kyle do it. I would call that professionally, because of the things that they are promoting outside of just making knives. I'm getting into some of it, but I'll just throw it in as an open topic. So, guy's got a knife he's proud of. Let's start with photos first. What do you suggest on making those good, crisp photos, and also how to set up the perfect shot, so it's just not a knife setting on the board on your deck, or a knife setting on a rock in your grass? Something that makes people look at it and it just kind of appeals to them. I'll leave that open.
I mean, I can talk on that just a little bit. So one of the big things is lighting and what's reflecting off your knife. Try not to take a picture with the knife standing up with a bunch of stuff reflecting off of it, because it can make it look like there's, issues in the blade. You want a nice, clean, smooth set of bevels with no reflection on it. And anything that you can do to accent the transition lines between bevels and flats, or any of those things, definitely do your best to work within that. And then the background's huge. If you have a dark handle, don't put it on a dark background. Put it on something that's going to show contrast.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
When we had Corey Martin on, he was talking about he bought a bunch of these wallpaper sample boards. He used a lot of different wallpaper pieces underneath his knife. So they were like, I don't know, 2 feet wide and like 18 inches. So he can put the knife on that and like contrast and complement whatever color he wants there. The other thing that he told us was modeling clay underneath the backside. That was something that I never even really thought about until he mentioned it. And you can buy like a pound of that that's going to last like forever. But you just put a little bit of that, and your knife will actually like stick to it, and you can get it positioned. And then using the boards that have like I bought a like pack of them on Amazon. So there's like a gold colored reflective one, a silver reflected one, and then a white and a black. And you can actually kind of hold that to the side of whatever camera that you're doing to either lighten up or shadow down part of your bevels to get that really clean picture that Eric was talking about there, to like get some more light concentrated on the handle, get the light concentrated on the tip, or like smooth out the light across the bevel.
Yeah.
The gold one will give it like more of a warm tone, and the silver will give it more of like a brighter white. So some really good tips. That the podcast we did with Corey was like great. Chip said he's always tired of listening to the podcast by the time he's done. I actually listened to that podcast that Corey talked about 5 more times after that. I take some photos, listen to it again, take some more photos, listen to it again, and just as you do it, just picking up those little things that he's talking about, setting up the shot and stuff, just makes so much of a difference there.
And let's clarify that that's not tired of listening to your podcast. That's tired of listening to mine after 6 hours of editing. So,
yeah, I usually don't listen to ours another time after I'm done editing it, but that was a special one.
So from my perspective, and what I would say is, I want to separate the two. You've got the equipment, and then you've got the shot. So if we look at the equipment you've got, do you need to go out and buy a DSLR or a fancy camera? And the answer is, I'm glad you said that, jumped in. No, it isn't, because what people are typically going to for camera photos is they're just going to their phones. Now, I was using an iPhone 7 prior to this, and now I just recently got an iPhone 14 Pro Max. I think that's the latest version. So about every half a decade, I end up getting a new phone. And I saw a big jump in pixel quality and color rendition with this newer phone. But before that, my photos weren't bad. It's just if you zoomed in, I lost a lot of pixelation, didn't get the nice bright colors. So let me say this: don't worry about what you're using as far as taking the pictures with any modern day phone or nice digital camera that you've got. A lot of it has to do with a couple things. Stabilizing your shot. Get yourself a little tripod, because your hand's constantly shaking even when you're holding it still. Get yourself a tripod, and either through an app or just through touching your finger on it slightly, or setting a timer and letting that photo take the picture, is very nice for quality as far as the image with no shake, or gets rid of any even slight blurriness. Also, like with my iPhone, because I do everything with an iPhone because I can. That's my motto. And with the iPhone, I invested heavily in small rig equipment, which I'll talk about that for video. And I did this with my previous iPhone 7, but I also use moment lenses, and I have for years, because they bring something else to the table too. The iPhone lenses now are so darn good, but I can still see a little bit of a better image when I use that. Do you need it? No, because lenses do a good job. If you can get some color editing software, such as Adobe has some free Adobe color editing, so you can adjust tones and brightness and certain colors and stuff, will often enhance your photos a little bit. And these are all things that you can do on the technical side. Let's talk about lighting.
Or one
Yeah, go right
one
ahead.
thing I want to add, if you're using your cell phone, it's something you touch all the time. Before you take any photo with your cell phone, wipe the lens.
I remember you saying that on the podcast. Yes.
Because there's been so many times that I've seen lots of makers take photos, and I know they're taking it with their phone, and they didn't wipe the lens, and it's blurry. So
Yes.
wipe the lens. I have some microfiber towels that I keep on top of my light box and stuff, and I just wipe the lens of my phone or my DSLR every time before I start taking photos.
My phone yells at me if I have anything on the lens. It tells me to clean the lens before it's going to take a picture.
What phone do you have, Eric?
I have a Note,
Okay.
the Note series from Samsung, and seriously, if it even senses like a smudge on the lens, it tells me big pop up, clean your lens.
Yeah, I have a small puffer and an artist brush to clean mine. Of course, if I need to do it with a liquid or something, I can do that as well. But so I mentioned stabilizing. I mentioned go with whatever piece of equipment you got to maximize the equipment, because you know what, if you get more and more into it and you want to buy better equipment, that's fine. But the next thing that I want to talk about is finding proper lighting. Get your get it outside or get it into a window with lighting. Use some of those shadows or whatever. But most of my best shots come when I'm outside, either on a cloudy day or a sunny day. And typically, I can prefer kind of a little in between, kind of a hazy day, because I get some of the best images without all the shadows and stuff. But natural lighting during the day is wonderful, especially with a phone or any camera. The darker it is, it gets more pixelated and such. So, and if you don't have that, do you want to go out and buy $12,000 worth of lights? You don't have to. You can go out and get just a natural shop light. I've done this with my video lighting. Go out and get yourself a standard aluminum shop light for $3 or $12, whatever it is at Lowe's. Go out and get yourself a daylight. It has to be a daylight bulb. And I think those are what, 6,000 Kelvin or 6,000. I don't remember. It's a 6,000 as far as the wavelength for the sun. So it's going to be around $6,000. The bulbs aren't, but about $15. And then I went to a Hobby Lobby and went to the cloth department, and I bought some sheer white, kind of silky cloth that I put around those lights and then tied them to it. So it diffused the light. And so if I'm taking pictures in my shop, I get almost that same look that I do if I'm outside taking some of those best pictures in the sun. So that's technical. Now let's get into the artistic side of it. The first thing you want to do is decide, if I'm making a chef's knife, are you going to take it out in the woods and stick it or out in your backyard and next to a tree and put it on a tree with some acorns and stuff? No, it doesn't fit the image. You really want to find something what do you want your knife to say who I am? If I'm a football player and I'm going to take my picture, I'm not going to take a picture in church. I'm going to take the picture out on a football field, right? Same thing. The priest is going to take his picture in the church. You want to do the same thing with your knife. What does my knife say? Is it a bushcrafter? Is it a culinary knife? Is it a hunter? Is it a skinner? And you want to give it that kind of background. I know that I'll mention Trollski is one that does an excellent job with this. And you can also look up knife photography online and see great examples. Some people like to take more of a tactical looking knife and put ammunition or certain elements such as old antiques or certain things, basket weaves and things around them. And you kind of have to develop that. And Kyle said something that you can get lots of wallpapers. Sometimes you can go out and get cloths like burlap or just something that looks unique to put behind it. But the big thing is use your creativity to give your knife a voice to say, what do I want this knife to say? Type of knives I make, I can typically find a log or a branch outside next to a creek. I'd like to start making pictures that have nicer backgrounds that are a little bit blurred from the inset picture to give it that more dynamic effect. But that's just it. What do you want it to say? The last thing I forgot, I wanted to add this on it. Go ahead.
One of the things that when you're framing your shot and stuff like that, you can get too much stuff in there too. So the kind of more plain your knife is, you can put a little bit more stuff in there. If you got a lot going on in your picture with like Damascus and stuff like that, like try to just make your background even more simple, because that movement contrast will help a lot with your photos too. So you can get too much stuff in there trying and it just is overly busy, too much going on.
Yes, and one of the things that you can buy are ND filters, which, if you're taking a photo, you can adjust your camera so that your white balance doesn't have to be adjusted in such a way that it bleeds out the picture of your knife. So it's kind of like putting sunglasses over a lens. I'll use an ND filter to basically, it doesn't make the picture darker, it just adjusts the background lighting so that you can have a more natural looking photo, almost like having that kind of a cloudy day when you take a picture. It does a really good job with that. So that's kind of mine. The rest of it is just hands-on experience, getting out and taking photos and getting better and better at it. So
Well, I can add a little something. I ain't much on a picture taking, but I had, when I was a wood turner, I had to do art shows, and it had to be jury shows where you had to send pictures in. And a fellow wood turner, he was a professional photographer, and yeah, I tell you what he used. He used a piece of 4x8 Formica gray, and you would think, well, Formica, what he done? He bent that thing where it didn't have no corners. I mean, he kind of came come up and he fit it in a chair, and he had his light system. You know, he's professional, but he just used a piece of gray Formica, and that's how he took all my pictures. You know.
yeah. Well, Eric said something that fits into that. He says, try to get rid of those shiny areas on your knife
Mm-hmm.
when you're taking the picture.
Mhm.
And when you're having a rolled in background like you're talking about there, Don, also adjusting that knife on what Kyle said, a piece of
Mhm.
putty. Um, and then I actually saw something, I think it was from Blade Magazine, where the young lady was taking just notebook paper and setting it in the light beam where it diffused the light and evened out the color across the knife so that you didn't end up with that flare on the knife itself, and you got more of a consistent shot all the way across.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell some of those boards with white, black, gold, and silver. I think I got a 4-pack that was like they were like 8.5 by 11, so like the same as like a piece of paper. And the 4-pack was like, I don't know, $15 or something like that. They work great. I mainly use the silver one because that reflects the same kind of temperature of the light to really even out the bevel. Doing the bigger chef's knives, usually you'll get like one big bright spot, and then you'll get like half the blade being dark.
Mm-hmm.
You can move that over around and position it to the way you need to get it to light up the blade on the camera.
Yeah, and I see that Joey just sent us a photo, a black and white photo with a bucket full of bullets. I know they're not in a bucket, but it's just you can't see the background for all of the shells that are there. What are those, 9mm or 45?
Yeah, they're 9mm.
Okay, so they're just spread out across, and then the knife setting on top of it with his sheath as well. And he's actually done something with the color, which is just done a grayscale, black and white grayscale, more of a darker photo, and it really pulls out all the angles and complements that knife very well. So go look at some knife photos. Look up knife photography online and just
Mm-hmm.
try to emulate what some other people are doing, because we've all done our share of what people are doing on Facebook or knife photography, and you'll learn all kinds of things.
Yeah, if you're not following Sharp by Coop,
Yep.
Caleb Royer,
Yeah.
Yep.
Cody Martin, Peter Martin. Peter Martin, his son Cody is the one that takes all of his photos. Peter makes some unbelievable knives, and go look at his website, because Corey's taken like, I don't know if there's a maker that has more professional photos taken of all the knives they make than Peter. So
Yeah, all three of
definitely
those
check those
people.
out.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have beautiful pictures.
And I know Caleb Royer offers like a digital package where you can take some photos and he'll do his like Photoshop kind of rendering on it. I think Corey was talking about offering that too. There's a few other people in the industry that do it too.
And then shots by Coop with every Blade show, all kinds of everybody. I mean, he does every different type of show, and he'll shoot all your pictures and give the knives back to you and do all that stuff.
Yeah, I've got Photoshop and I've used it for 20 years, and it's a perfect tool for that. And I still clean up some of my shots a little bit here or there. And any of you guys that ever need something cleaned up here on the show, let me know. I'll be happy to do something for you. But it's nice to have people out there that offer those services, because they can really change the whole concept of a picture and what that knife's trying to say just by the right photo.
Yeah. If you're ever wanting to get your photos in a magazine or whatever too, having your photos taken by some of those guys or girls is the only way you're going to be able to do it, because they have so many people taking photographs, like good quality ones. They don't branch out from some of the people that they know now.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I used to have stuff in Bassmaster and Sideline magazine, and when I did that, I used to have to send my lures off to photographers to get them made. So, all right. Well, hey, run a little bit low on time, almost 2 hours. Let's jump into our next topic, and then we're going to ask just one question tonight, so we don't run too long. But and I've got one here for us. I will tell you, our only comment back this week was, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but he responded back on Apple, I think, podcast, and he just said, "Nice show." So thank you, whoever you were. I'll go out and find it again. Appreciate it.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Last Blade Standing. Now in its third season, Last Blade Standing will feature the work of 64 bladesmiths from across the United States. In this season's 90-day short sword challenge, the bladesmiths include 10 Forged in Fire champions and both returning Last Blade Standing champions. The competition features special guests Ben Abbott, Forged in Fire Super Champion, as a competitor, and David Baker, Forged in Fire Judge, as the lead judge for this season. Join us for the live finale in Salisbury, North Carolina on February 25th, 2023. General admission tickets are available now at tickets.lastbladestanding.com. Last Blade Standing Season 3 is sponsored in part by Broadbeck Ironworks, Red Label Abrasives, All Nine Metals, Maker Material Supply, and Steel Stamps Incorporated. Get ready for Last Blade Standing, the bladesmithing competition.
So let's talk about our next topic, which will be leather stropping belts. I have used a static stropping belt, piece of leather that I put on a board with a piece of double-sided carpet tape, and I've used it for a long, long time, especially when I used to whittle with wood. I used to use it to roll carving knives back and forth, little tiny Japanese carving knives, before I ever even made a knife. Still got it. And now, today, I had a belt come in that I'm going to be installing on my retired 1x30. It's bringing it back out of retirement. So let's talk a little bit about belt stropping your knives.
Well, I can tell you that I've been doing it for, almost 3 years now, with the very similar setup the whole entire time. And yeah, I use that 1x30. That literally one of the 1x30s has one job, and that is being a leather stropping machine. And I absolutely love it. I've used them for so long that I guess a few people went in and bought some from them and talked about my videos, and they contacted me and said, "Hey, we're going to send you some stuff," and told me that I did not, they were not expecting a review. They could care less if I did a review. They would just send them to me because they appreciated what I do. And for me personally, I use them in like every single video. So it's like, why not, talk about them? But yeah, that Pro Sharpening Supply, you see them on Instagram, all that stuff. And if you're a knife maker, you've seen some sort of thing that they have. And yeah, I love the hell out of those belts. I've got like 15 of them, and I have their honing wheel for bench grinder that is really nice too. Y'all don't ever see those in the videos, but it's those are pretty much, I use it primarily for whenever I'm just working on an edge on a knife that I've made a year ago. But
excuse me, I have an important announcement. So straight to L, you heard what Eric said. He mentioned belts, and people kept buying them, and they sent him some belts. Straight to L, I'm always talking about your beers. Always. Okay, we can go back to what we had to say.
just in case y'all want to
Just
send
in
some
case.
stuff his way.
Just in case. Just in case.
I just they're very useful, and that 1x30, because it was dedicated for stuff like that, I put it on its back and made it to where the belt is horizontal, and it's just super easy. You walk over there, shoop, and you're pretty much done. I mean,
Well, Eric, I was going to mount mine horizontal like yours. Is it worth it, or just the other way is just as fine?
It's worth it.
Okay.
If you're gonna do more than one knife a month, you might as well just set it up to where it's efficient, and it is a lower profile whenever you have it laying on its back.
Yeah.
And it's just way easier because you can walk up to it, you can look and see what you're doing to the knife, and look straight down at it, see whenever your burr's nice and gone, and call it
But
done.
you need to secure it if you're going to turn it on its back.
Yeah,
that's what
all
I
I
want
did
people
was
to
just
know. Don't
make that.
just don't lay it on your back. Either clamp it down or mount it to something where you can lay it on its back.
Yeah.
I know my 2x42 Dayton, it swivels, and there's like a little rubber backing on the back piece that it sits on.
Oh yeah, you can lay it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine will do that also. I didn't think about a 2x42, but you got the 1x30. The thing is, when I saw videos, even watching your video, they're quick passes. You're not using a lot of pressure, very light pressure, really quick passes, right?
Yeah, I do that with everything. You always let the machine do the work. You shouldn't be doing the work.
What is the difference in the sharpening you're seeing when you take the time to do that with this belt strop versus not using a strop? I mean, what before you strop it and after, what are you seeing as far as sharpness goes? Crazy sharp to lightning sharp, or
you will never get as mirrored of an edge doing it on a static strop as you would on the belt. I mean, it is just the nicest little edge, and you can do it so fast. It doesn't take any time.
Is the knife actually a better cutter? Let's say you got a piece of telephone book paper when we used to have telephone books, but is there a difference before you strop it and after you strop it as far as the sharpness on a piece of paper like that?
Well, 100%, because if you just sharpen a knife and you didn't strop it, you still have a burr on the edge.
Yeah,
so your edge isn't finalized. So it won't cut how it's supposed to.
I guess I'm saying from the aspect of whether you strop it on a piece of static leather or cardboard, or whatever you're stropping on versus using that belt.
So here's the deal. Stropping it, you could strop it on cardboard if you wanted to. If you just needed to get something stropped, you don't have to have leather. You don't have to have a belt. You don't have to have anything. It's all about efficiency. What makes it faster? If you're stropping on a static strop, you're going to take time. It's not super fast. If you're trying to be efficient, then you put it on a machine that you never really have to worry about messing with it. The same thing with people. I mean, if you've looked at people who do a lot of knife making, they've got like 4 drill presses. and they barely move any drill bits. If they know they're going to be doing certain things, that drill pretty much, or that drill press is dedicated to that drill bit.
Yep.
And it's the same thing for me. I have leather stropping belts for my 2x72, but I don't want to have to take a belt off, put my leather stropping belt on, and do that whenever I can just step to the side, kick on that one, boop, 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 and I'm done. That's all that machine's for.
Gotcha.
Hey, I need to ask Eric a question on that. Eric, have you ever used a felt belt?
Yeah, I've got a
on your 1x30.
Yeah, I've used felt belts, and I like them.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I have an AMK, the 1x30 knife sharpener, and man, I used to use the leather belt. I start out with a 120 Cubitron, go to a 600 grit
CS310.
Trivac, and then straight to that belt with some white compound. Man, that does a job. It takes that. It really just does a really good job. Now you're gonna have a little toothier edge, and most people that's in the kitchen want a toothier edge, so it won't have a polish as like a green compound with that leather. But I'm telling you, it's crazy sharp, man. Really sharp.
Yeah. I use my felt belts every once in a while. I've got my felt belts are from my 2x72, and I'll use them here and there, and it just depends on what I'm doing at the time. I'm not a production knife guy. I don't make enough knives for that, but I am a person who has to film everything that they're doing, and the filming aspect takes so much time that if you know what your camera angle is going to be like and you know what lighting you have to have for specific things, it's way easier just to use machines for specific reasons.
Yeah, people I don't think appreciate that until they actually do it. How much longer, like even just doing like a 5-minute video takes like 10 hours to film, edit, and like get everything ready and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say two things about the leather belts. Don't leave them on your machine because they stretch out. That's one of the things. And then I have a VFD on mine, so I try to turn it way down so that you can really overheat your edge really quickly when you're trying to remove that burr. Like Eric was saying, use really light pressure, or turn your VFD down, and still use light pressure. So.
Yeah, I think if I end up liking this, I'll probably get a 2x72 leather belt where I've got that VFD. So, hey, folks, a little bit on that, but we will be right back. Don't go anywhere, because when you return, we've got a listener question for you. Be right back. Oleg Bashevic has been making stabilized wood and other supplies for knife makers for almost a decade. His stabilized wood products have been used by many of the best and most well-known knife makers in the world. This wood, when turned into knife parts, are stable to humidity, water, snow, oils, and other materials that would prematurely wear out a knife handle. He works out of his shop in Tula, Russia, and produces natural wood products that are as beautiful as Russia's famed Fabergé eggs. Knife makers around the world will tell you that his blocks should not be cut and placed on display. Oleg has distribution centers in Russia and in the United States. He's shipping right out of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, so if you're looking for something in the States, you can have it in just a few days. I guarantee you'll be excited to get your package that comes wrapped beautifully, already polished, so that you can see the most beautiful grain and colors that he impregnates into each piece of wood. You can find Oleg not only on Facebook, but you can also find him at knife-wood.com. That's knife-wood.com on the internet. Go out and take a look at Oleg's products. I'm guaranteeing you'll be happy to put them on your next knife. And now back to the show. Well, hey guys, welcome back. Got a question that came in this week. I think you guys can help this guy with. It's what this show's all about. It's about helping folks. And his name is Jeff Reinhardt. And his question is, I am doing a school project where I'm researching bladesmithing as a hypothetical career. And I'm supposed to find out what kind of training, education, or preparation is required. So, for those of you that do that professionally, which I don't know, how did you learn your craft, and what would you recommend for someone who wants to make blades professionally? It doesn't have to be too in depth, just hypothetical. So, I mean, professionally, most of us have it as a side gig or a side job. I'm not sure anybody that we've got doing it full time, say, like some of the other podcasters that I'm out there that do a great job. But we're still professional at what we do. So, what would you guys suggest this guy should go back and say? What type of training, education, and preparation is required?
Kyle's a perfect person for that.
Yes, sir.
Well, they say, how do you make $1 million in knife making? You start with $2 million.
Yes.
It's a very long road, and if I didn't do it as a side hustle for as long as I did, building up my equipment and stuff like that, it'd be really hard to go full time. And then my wife's a teacher, so she's got health insurance and stuff covered. So that makes it a lot easier to go full time. Just trying to do it right out the gate, it's going to be really hard, especially not having a customer base built up. Try to talk with some dealers. Lots of dealers are going to want to do consignment with you for until you're kind of more well known. I know some of the guys that like have come through like Andy's shop and have like some of the notoriety. They kind of like use some of their accolades or stuff to kind of like give them a little bit of a leg up with the dealers, that the dealers know that if Andy says you're thumbs up, or some of the other guys that they know can kind of vouch for you, that kind of gives them a better feeling to sell your knives, because they're putting their name on that you're a good product selling it. So you need to start doing that. It was a couple of times at Blade Show, having a table that people came by and looked before, like I had been talking to the guys at Knife Center for 3 years before they decided to pull the trigger and start buying some of my knives. So you just got to build those relationships and build a client base, start showing people what you're doing, so they can kind of see that they know what you're doing. You have a heat treat oven, get a hardness tester. That's one spot that like there's quantifiable data that you can hand somebody and tell somebody, like, my knives are 64 Rockwell, and you know it because you tested them. Some of that stuff, like just trying to put quantifiable data and build a customer base, is some of the things you're going to really need to make a go at it full time.
Yeah. I'd say go into it with your glass empty, because it doesn't matter what the heck you're bringing into this. If you don't know what you don't know, don't act like you know it, and learn and do. The biggest thing is people that want to get into knife making, but all they want to do is watch 100 hours of video, and then they're not actually doing anything with their hands or doing anything with their body or actually trying to make the thing. Don't invest a ton of money into it. uh, if you can learn how to make your own tools, if you can learn how to do those things, it's going to give you some of the skills going into working with steel. You learn how to weld. For me, I did auto body for a really long time. So learning how to move metal, what hammers do, things like that helped. I did woodworking and cabinetry for a really long time. You learn how to work with wood. So there's a lot of things that you can bring into it that's not just knife making.
You had something you were going to say there, Luke?
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is one thing that really helped me was, like you said, Kyle, was, learning underneath someone. People in the community are very giving of knowledge. So for this listener, I would recommend to go to any sort of like knife shows or any sort of knife related activities in your state, and just make yourself like acquaintances with the people at the shows. Word of mouth really spreads quick in this community. So getting to know people, taking notes with people. I mean, Just try to get as much exposure as you can. One thing that really helped me was learning under the people that I did. Like Kyle said, I learned under Andy, so I see him as my teacher. I am a apprentice of his. So go into it with like an apprentice based mindset, and just try to learn from as many makers as you can. And that's where you'll eventually develop your own style in your craft, and you'll become one with the community, hopefully.
Yeah, and if you don't have that, it's kind of like Eric and several others have inspired me to start forging. So I have joined a forge council. They also do knives as well as just standard steel work and other things. But get involved with local groups that you will begin to associate with, develop friendships, and learn from their mistakes or their successes. That's going to shorten that curve. But Luke, you said something important: the relationships and the people you associate with are the ones that will carry you along. Eric said, 100 hours of video is not going to get you there. You still need to watch those 100 hours of video. That's the best education we've got these days. As far
read
as,
a book.
Yeah. The best education we've got these days is you can go to YouTube and learn anything. But if I say the best education, second best, because you've still got to apply it. And don't be upset with your first ugly knife. That's still one of my favorite. But then you've got to get in and align yourself with the right people, because nobody decides to be a rocket scientist and just goes out and buys an Estes and starts firing rockets at the moon.
And what you said there, don't be upset at your first crappy knife. Be upset at your first really pretty knife, because now you're addicted.
So a little tip that Andy Roy gave me, he said for his first few blade shows, he would take several 48 quart coolers, slap full of beer to the shows. And he'd be rolling around these two big coolers behind him and literally walk up to anyone random and say, "Hey, free beer. Would you like one?" Just for a moment of your time and just to talk about knife making. So a little conversation starter, and who knows what a free beer can get you.
Maybe
that's part of the reason I do my beer.
That's what I was fixing to say. That's where Kyle got it from.
Yeah. Andy said it worked really well for him.
Yeah. One of the other things that I would suggest this listener do is if you're really, really thinking about doing it, try to get some money together and go take a class. Taking a class with somebody, you can use like the better equipment, you can use the heat treat oven, you can use all that stuff to take the class, and you can really see if that's something you want to invest in. I know a bunch of people that have gone out and bought a 2x72, bought a heat treat oven, got a buffer, got drill presses and stuff, and they made 4 or 5 knives, and they're like, "Man, I'm tired of burning my thumbs and stuff," and they just sell their stuff off for like not pennies on the dollar, but like just to try to recoup any of their money. So
anybody that's recently bought a forge and an anvil and decided it's not for you, I'd be willing to offer $1.50 per pound. Must be a drop forged anvil, and you can reach me at
those Harbor Freight ones, I think, are technically drop forged. We could probably make some money with you paying $1.50 a pound.
Yeah, those actually probably do cost $1.50 a pound, but a little different forge or different anvil. Excuse me. Hey guys, good question, good answers, and I hope that helps this young gentleman. Let's take our last break, and we come back. We will see what we're headed into the next week or so. We'll be right back. Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? Many go to the books, and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, we are fortunate enough to have Eric Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor, and I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel, and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube, or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show. All right, guys. Well, that's a show. As far as everything we had to talk about, we never get to everything. Kyle, you took up all of our time in a good way today, and
You
we always
did.
take up all of our
Good
time. But
job,
man,
Kyle. Thanks.
what a pleasure! If I could just get you to talk to the guy over at the Knife Perspective and put in your resignation, we'll have you over here.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm welcome, or I'm glad to be on anytime you want me.
Well,
So.
I mean, you just need to resign from the knife perspective. Actually, you know what? I do want to say that before we get off. That guys, it's a small community. I encourage you to go out and listen to the knife perspective. Kyle and Dan do a great job with that show. And as you listen, they have a different perspective. They're funny guys, and Kyle is they're both an encyclopedia of knowledge. But listening to Kyle tonight, you kind of hear what you're going to get on that show. A guy with a lot of years of experience and something to add. And if you get to know him, you might find yourself getting a free beer at Blade Show. So hey, can't have a better friend than that. Luke Berry, what you got going on?
I got a little custom order I've been working on. Some ladder Damascus on a lion killer. It's turning out really nice. I'm happy with how it's looking. It's actually a exact replica of one I've done in the past. It's typically not something I do, but the first one I wasn't very happy with the fit and finish I got on it, and this one it's kind of taking it to the next level. And I have been hand sanding out 6 W2 blades, and that has been a pain. But happy with the results. It's my first time going for a Hamon, and so far very successful. I got some really crisp lines. I got some ashi going through it as well. And with this new position I'm taking, I'll have about 10 to 15 more hours a week in the knife shop. So looking to get about 25 to 30 hours a week in the knife shop now. So nothing but good news over here at Berry Blade Works.
Well, this is not goodbye. It's see you later, Luke Berry. And we'll be seeing you around, and we'll be chatting with you in our group. But you know that you've always got a spot to come on here.
I appreciate it.
You'll always be a honorary co-host. But if you ever want to come back full time, we'll give you an application. You can fill it out, and we'll consider you.
I'm looking to pull some strings with this new boss of mine to see if he can maybe work with me a little bit. But I think that's going to be a little bit down the road. Once I
go in and establish yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, establish yourself, make a good name, and then you can see how that works out in the future. But at the meantime, I know the HR manager at Knives Templars. I don't think you'll have a hard time getting in.
Well, I appreciate that, friendo.
It's a pleasure, friend. Joey, I've been watching that Bigfoot walk by that window behind you all night, and I just finally realized that's not outside. That's somebody walking in front of your room, and I see their reflection in the glass. You don't have a Bigfoot outside through that door behind you.
No, that is my hallway. That goes to the brandy room in the foyer. No, I'm just picking.
Is that an exterior door?
No, that's an interior door.
Oh, well, maybe you do. You've got somebody in the house. I don't know. You're not alone.
My wife's here. My son's here. My daughter, she's away. But yes, it might have been somebody. But yep.
What you got going on, Joey? Next week or so?
I got some leather orders to get out, and I've got about 17 knives I profiled and drilled the handles and everything. So I need to start getting the grinding on that, and try to get some blades in stock to go for Belleville. That's really what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
For the Texas Select. So try to make that.
With your leather work, I'm going to send you some English bridle so that you can make me some chaps for a Blade Show with my new hat I got coming in.
Well, I mean, I think everyone saw what you had proposed to get for Blade Show.
Yeah,
I think
we're not going to be doing leather guy from the YMCA anymore. We're just going with leather chaps.
All right. Okay. Well, if you're going to send some English bridle, that's not going to work. You're going to have to give me some chap leather.
All right, we'll do that. Now, I'm Eric. Shop Talk Tuesday and all that back on par.
Yep. I'm working on this frame handle, and first one our first time doing that. It's probably not going to look like what everybody's imagining in their brains, but I'm doing it the way that I want to do it, and I think it's going to turn out really cool, and I'm excited about it. I think the knife itself, I've been wanting to use this particular set of handle scales for a while. It's a wide burlap style set of handle scales, and I think the color combo is going to look really good when it's all said and done. But that, and then working on this chopper challenge, getting everything together for it, and then I think what I'm gonna make in the next Shop Talk Tuesday build, I'm either gonna do I kind of want to do a Quaken, and
A Quaken?
Yeah.
yeah.
Explain that. Explain that.
Think of it as a kind of like a EDC Tonto ish, if you were gonna imagine something in your brain, but not at the same time. It's got that inspired like profile to it, like the sweeping back on the spine. Look up Quaken. It's like Kwaiken, and that
Kind of like the Japanese stiletto.
I'm
Yes.
seeing it. I'm seeing it on Knife Center right now. Beautiful knife. Yeah.
yeah.
Ooh,
So
cool.
that's what I want to do. I'm gonna forge one of those out and see what I can do with it. I've got a you know uh, I've got a piece of steel that I want to do with it. I was thinking about doing one that had a integral bolster kind of built into it, because I've got some 5160 round stock that's never been used. It's not it's virgin steel, and I think I kind of want to do that. But I also kind of want to make it out of I've got some 26C3 and some 1095. I kind of want to make it out of one of those so I can put a Hamon in it. I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air for what I want to do with that. But that's the next build.
We're glad you're back. We've missed you. Don Watson, what's going on down in Florida the next week or so?
Well, this weekend I got to help my son-in-law move in their new house, and
you must have the truck.
Yeah, I have a truck. Yep, and trailer.
You get to drive the U-Haul?
No, they did most of that today, but I'm going in. Me and my wife's going to go and help them get all the boxes and all the stuff out of the other house. But then I finished up a knife today for a person. I got two handles on another knife for other people. I designed more of a boning knife for another person, stainless steel. And just making some knives, man. Loving life down here in Florida.
Well, good for you.
Florida man, baby. Florida man.
Hey. Florida man. Well, I'm gonna be back in the shop. I have to travel over to Maysville, Georgia next week. You know where that's, Luke?
I've heard of it.
I'll be up in Maysville above Pendergrass, and I'll be over in Gainesville.
Okay.
3 days next week. So I may see if I can't catch up with you this weekend. I'm gonna be doing a little painting, be beating out some continuing to learn how to forge and continue in my journey, which is a young journey for an old guy, but I enjoy it. But hey, it's all about having fun and camaraderie with you all and others out there. With that being said, I just want everybody to know that our podcast is brought to you by the Rivers Experience, Majestic Forge, Phoenix Abrasives, Ameribraid, Byford's Guns, Pops Knife Supplies, and knife-wood.com. If you want to send us beers, foods, or products to test, or if you want to be on the show, or just let us know how you feel about us, email us at theknivestemplars@yahoo.com or find us on the podcast. You can submit questions there. There's a question block that you can click on, or even better, join us at the Knives Templars podcast group on Facebook, and you can chat with us all day long. So with all that being said, I want to thank you, and we will see you on the next show. Say good night, guys.
Adios,
night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Arrivederci.
See you on the next show. Good night from the Knives Templars. Bye-bye now.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Hey, this is Jason Fry. Did you ever think knife making would be easier if you just knew all the tricks? Well, good thing for you, I wrote a book on the subject, Knife Making Hacks, 384 Tips to Make Knives Like the Pros. It combines my years of experience with the research I've done on other writing projects with pretty pictures of some of the world's best knives. There's some humor in there as well as some good knife making wisdom and knowledge. It's available wherever books are sold, gundigest.com and my website, frycustomknives.com/books. Pick up a copy today and learn to make a knife like the pros.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky oinky oinky.